for these three tables based on field or attribute of student ID. Okay, that's the business term, student ID. Now in database table, either StuID or SID in the two tables respectively. Okay. And CrsID, CrsID in both tables. Use enforce referential integrity for the relationship. Okay, take a look at the design first. If I use this one, maybe it's more illustrative. For student table and the grade table, we used two different labels to indicate a student ID. One is StuID, the other one is SID. I did this on purpose. Meaning-wise is the label doesn't matter as long as they are referring to the same pool of values. This is just a label, doesn't matter. They can be different. SID in one table, StuID in another table. They are still common attribute. They still refer to the same thing, same set of values. So once they refer to the same set of values, same interpretation, they are what we call a common attribute. So you can build a relationship between student table and the grade table through this common attribute, in this case, StuID or SID. That's one. If you want to build a relationship between two tables, you have to identify a common attribute. If you missed one, maybe you, potentially for that purpose, you may put one back. Okay. Now for another pair, student course table and a grade table. If you want to build a relationship, you want to identify the common attribute. Common attribute in this case is a CrsID. And I did this on purpose as well. And because in this case, they happen to be the same. But one is in course table, one is in grade table. Only thing we need to be aware of this one is, in this situation, whenever we are talking about CrsID, we need to mention which table. Otherwise, if you simply call it CrsID, system and the people will get confused as well. Which CrsID you are referring to? Is the one in course table or is the one in the grade table? Okay. Otherwise, you don't know how to differentiate them. Okay. So we are going to build two relationships. That's the target. And now, if we want to build a relationship between two tables, we need to identify a common attribute. This common attribute will show up in both tables. So we've already identified the common attribute between in student table and the grade table is a student ID in business term. In technical term, is one is SID, the other one is StuID. And the common attribute in course table and the grade table is CrsID. In this case, the ID name will be the same. They showed up in both tables. Okay, so two relationships, we found the common attribute. So the next thing is how to establish them. So put this aside. Back to this table. And I guess we have some indication here. I forgot to mention that. And we go to database tools, relationships, select tables, select and drag CrsID over CrsID or SID over StuID. Click enforce referential integrity and then click create. At least this high level hint or reminder. Before we get to this one, maybe they may or may not make sense at this moment, but let's go through this one and visit this again. It may make, the information may make better sense. So it says we go to database tools here. And once you click database tools, you under relationship, you see relationships. Once you click the relationships, on relationships panel, and you see this screen, show tables. Idea-wise, we want to bring all those tables here. That's the idea. Now, you have two ways to bring this table. Situation number one, select the table you want to bring it to here. Select and then click Add. And it will go to here. Or you can double click. You select the table and double click. Select another table, double click. And I'm going to do this on purpose. Select the course table again, double click.
There's no design tab.
Say that again.
On my computer, there's no design tab, like at the top, next to help.
Let's see. If you have database tools.
Yeah.
Database tools, you have relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, you click that one.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Now, first thing I want to do by chance or by mistake, even though I did this on purpose, I have additional table showed up. This is the same table as course. It shows _1. I don't need that. So I put the cursor on the table, right click, hide table to remove it.
How did you add those tables? Like, how do you get to see them?
Double click.
Do I click? Because right now it says show table.
All those three tables.
Okay, I got it.
You got it? Oh, okay. I removed my table too fast.
Sorry.
It's okay. I show tables and then double click. Okay, I'm going to double click this again and demonstrate this. By chance, I added an additional one. I want to keep the S student. I want to remove student _1. So point to this table, right click, and hide the table. It will be back to the original three tables. You can adjust the size a little bit, make sure you see all those attributes in it. Okay, now relationship. I want to build the relationship between grade table and the course table. And based on our quick analysis a moment ago, we know the common attribute in these two tables are course ID. Course ID. Okay, so when we want to build the relationship, select the first one, either one. Okay, select the one common attribute, click and hold, and then drag it over to the next table. Ideally, put it right on CrsID and release the button. Once you release the button, this screen will show up. Relationship. It actually gives you another chance to verify the relationship you are going to build. Relationship, you see, you picked up course ID from course table, and the related table, you picked up course ID in the grade table. If that's true, you click enforce referential integrity. If it's not, you can still change. Put the cursor here. If this is wrong, you can say, oh, actually I meant the other one. But as long as you pick up the right one, it will be okay. Okay, make sure course ID matches course ID in both tables because that's the common attribute. Once you make sure this information, to click enforce referential integrity. Oops. Yeah, and create. Did I miss that?
Will you go over that step one more time? Because I have the three tables, but I don't know what to do from there.
Oh, okay, I can close this one. You have course and a grade, right? We do one by one at a time.
Yeah, I have the three tables that you have.
We go to course ID in course table. Select and click and hold and drag. And drag it over to course grade table over course ID, and then release the mouse button. The moment you release the mouse button, this pop-up screen will show up. Click, hold, drag, or select, hold, drag, and release.
Okay, I got that. And then do we just create?
And no, enforce.
Oh, okay.
Enforce referential integrity. And create. I keep on losing that piece. Okay. Okay, you see one, you see many. This infinity is many. And this referential integrity, the interpretation of this one is in the future or even at this time, whatever the course ID you had in grade table, they have to find a match in course table. Okay, they have to find a match in course table. Interpretation or meaning is, for example, if you go to a store, you show the store employee you like to find some item with some school number. And if this school number is not in the inventory, and then which means the school number may be wrong. Same thing here. If this one ensures the situation will, some particular situation will not happen. What kind of situation of that one? Some student or me, I claimed I took a course or I taught a course. I showed the registrar's office, I taught this course or I took this course and the course ID is 001002. But when you go to the course table, you never find it. I don't see any course ID says 001002. In that case, we create what we call inconsistencies or anomalies. That's the terminology. Now, having this relationship, this kind of referential integrity enforced, this relationship established, we will prevent those kind of situations from happening. You will not put some information here without being found in course table. That's the interpretation. And also, this is important from business perspective. In many situations, we don't like to see, and we try to prevent it from, and this is the way to prevent that from happening. Whatever the course information you put in grade table has to have a matching description in course table, which means this is a valid course, no matter whether that's an invalid course or you just have a typo. That's the reason of building this kind of referential ensure the referential integrity. Reference means here, whatever the course information, course ID information you put in grade table, you have to find out a reference course ID number in course table, because that's the official place to document all those courses. That's good so far. Okay, once it is good, the second one is a similar one. Relationship between grade and the student. And even though the attribute name or label, they are different, but they are same. Value-wise, they refer to same thing. So SID and StuID in this case are common attribute. You can build a relationship between grade and the student through this pair of common attributes. Once we made this decision, operation will be the same. Pick up one and click, hold, and drag, and move it over to next one, and release the button. The moment you release the mouse button, this screen will show up and double check those are the right one, StuID and SID. And if this is right, enforce and create. Done. Save the work. Okay. So requirement number 4 is done. Now when you come back to here again, they may make better sense to you. So you go to database tools,